All right, welcome back to another video. And on this one, I want to kind of go back to the basics. It's really great to have the foundation built very well. So I thought I'd make a video talking about the basics of the right hand or the left hand. I'm not going to hit every single point out there, but these are the ones that I think that are important to talk about. And before we get started, if you like the content that I produce, please give me a like and subscribe. And now let's start talking about the fingers in the right hand. Now, once your fingers on your right hand are placed on the strings, make sure that you're having a nice curve in your fingers. All the joints are bent really naturally and the hand is completely relaxed. Now, let's start by talking about the finger movement in the right hand. When the fingers are plucking the string, all the movement should come from the big joint. The middle joints and the small joint will naturally move whenever they move in the big joint. This will give you a really big and round sound. If you pluck using the little joint, you will get a thin sound and it'll also restrict a lot of your movement in the finger. Now, the movement of the fingers can be split up into 3 steps, but it really looks like one just because it's happening so fast. The finger movement starts with planting the fingertips on the string. Then the finger uses pressure to move the string. The more pressure that is placed on the string, the louder the sound will be. And finally, release. This is when the finger or the fingernail, if you're going to be using nails, will glide off the string. Now, once the flexor muscles are being used to pluck the strings, don't just move the finger back to its, let's say, natural position, but just relax the finger and it'll automatically bounce back to place. Almost like a rubber band. Once you stretch it and then let it go, it kind of resumes its normal shape. Now, there are also 2 different ways to pluck the string. The first, which you've been seeing as a demonstration this whole time, is called the free stroke, which I guess you can consider it like a standard pluck for the guitar. I think most people would agree to that. The other type of pluck is called the rest stroke, which is actually similar to the free stroke, but the finger will rest onto the next string. So for example, if you're going to be plucking using rest string on the first string, once the pluck is done, your finger is going to be resting on the second string. The rest stroke allows for more volume out of the guitar because you're going to be pressing inwards a little bit more. And with the rest stroke, make sure that your fingers are just a little bit straighter. Now, in your practice, play around with both ways. Play some music with free stroke, play some music with rest stroke. Experiment where you can incorporate these 2 plucking methods in your music. Some other things to think about is the wrist. Make sure that the wrist is straight and not bent. Bending the wrist can cause pain later down the road, and we want to try to avoid that as much as possible. If you find it comfortable to play the guitar with a bent wrist, maybe a little bend would be okay, but other than that, try to keep it as straight as possible. Now let's talk about the left hand. The best place to put your fingers on the neck is right behind the fret bar because it'll allow you to add the least amount of pressure on the strings to get the best tone. If you put your finger in the middle of the fret, you have to press harder in order to get a good tone. And we want to make this as effortless as possible. So put your fingers behind the fret wire at all times to get the best sound to make guitar playing easier. Just like the right hand, keep your fingers as curved as possible and make them feel really natural. Some people will have more curve, some people have less. It just really depends on the shape of your hand. Now, to keep a good curve from going, let's say from the first string to the 6th string, move your elbow outwards just a little bit so you can get a nice clean curve on the 6th string so you avoid buzzing strings or muting notes. And also, just like the right hand, keep your left hand wrist as straight as possible. Now, again, there will be times where you have to bend it whenever you're reaching for certain notes, but whenever that reaches over, try to go back to a straight wrist. Now, make sure that your thumb is going to be in the middle of the neck and completely relaxed, and you don't want to put any pressure on the thumb at all. It's just really there for support. One thing that I found that is common with the left hand is that a lot of people lift their fingers off maybe 3-4 inches off the fretboard, and that's just really too high. You want to really be as close as possible to the strings so it makes playing the guitar effortless. Well, that's it for me. I hope you liked this video. Give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.